Hey there, this is Amelia here. Welcome to Amelia's crossdressing story. Today we are going to share a story called Trip to Paris Part 4. By Teddy. For more interesting and exclusive stories, please subscribe to my channel and support me at Patreon. On a Monday, 10 days later, Jason and Ronnie were married in a civil ceremony at the Brest City Hall, by no one less than the mayor himself. Ronnie's father had called in a favor. Along with the couple and her parents, Ronnie's best friend in France, Ariane, was there, along with her boyfriend, Henri. On the following Thursday, Jason's family arrived from America along with Amy and her boyfriend, Ray. Luckily, the Gistards' home was large, and there was room for everyone. Ronnie and Jason were of course now in Ronnie's room, and since Amy and Ray were living together back home, they shared a bedroom. Jason's sisters shared a small bedroom. And his parents had the room that Jason had used that summer. That Saturday, everyone drove down the coast to the little church. Jason was amazed that the church was almost filled. He recognized most of the people from Ronnie's birthday party. But there were others that he'd never seen before. He stood at the front of the church with Henri, who was his best man, Ray, who was one of his groomsmen, and Eve, Ronnie's cousin, who was another groomsman. Jason watched as the bridesmaids walked down the aisle. First Ariane, then his sister Beth, and then Amy. The girls' dresses were actually very pretty. He wasn't sure how they had coordinated them on such a short notice. They all had flowers woven into their hair. Ronnie, who was escorted by her father, seemed to float down the aisle in a very simple but elegant wedding gown. Her hair was also woven with flowers, but more elaborate than the others. Jason smiled, she looked so beautiful. The church ceremony lasted about a half an hour, and they had been lucky enough to find a hall in the village in which to hold a small reception. The couple remained at the reception until late, then headed to a hotel just outside the airport. Ronnie and Jason's parents had given them a wedding present of 5 days and 3 nights at a seaside apartment in Majorca. And their flight left early the next morning. "I can't believe this," Jason said in disgust. "Honey. They lose luggage all the time. They'll find it." "I hope so." "What was in that bag?" "All my underwear, a couple pairs of shorts, my swim trunks, and my sandals. We'll go shopping later." "Stop worrying." He left word with the airline where they would be staying, and they found a cab. The apartment where they were staying was right on the beach and was very nice. They settled in and then went for a long walk on the beach. The following morning, Jason had taken a shower and came out with a towel wrapped around him. He walked over to where his underwear had been thrown in the heat of passion the night before and picked them up. Ronnie looked at him and said, "You're not wearing those again, are you?" "I don't have much of a choice. I guess I could go without." "No to both choices, lover." "And your suggestion is?" She walked over to the drawer where she had put her things and took something out. She hid it behind her back as she walked toward him. She got close and said, "You can wear these," as she showed him a pair of her satin panties. "Those are yours." "So?" "They're panties." "So?" "I can't wear those." "Why not?" "They're just underwear." "But they're girls' underwear." "The only difference is, these don't have that stupid opening in the front. Besides, I think you'd look sexy in them." "Yeah. Right. Try 'em. At least until we can go shopping." "Well. Go on. They won't bite." "But, red. You have a choice of red, blue, white, or black. Or you can try one of my thongs." "But they won't fit." "Yes, they will. Your butt is smaller than mine, and your waist isn't that much bigger. Besides, they'll stretch. Red, blue, white, black, or a thing." With a sigh, Jason said, "White." She went back to the drawer and pulled out a white pair. Turned and handed them to Jason. He just shook his head, dropped the towel, and slipped the panties up his legs. When he pulled them all the way up, he felt a stirring. She smiled, walked up to him, and kissed him. Reached down, grabbed his butt, pulled him closer, and said, "I knew you'd look cute in those. And, from what I'm feeling, you like them." She reached down between them, felt the front of his satin panties, and said, "Maybe we won't go shopping and just stay here." She pushed him down on the bed, dropped her robe, and... It was after lunch before they were finally out of the apartment and again walking hand in hand on the beach. She in a two-piece bathing suit, and he in shorts, with panties underneath, and a t-shirt. Later that afternoon, they went into town to do a little shopping. They wandered from shop to shop, picking up a few things here and there. They found a lingerie shop. She wanted to go in and look around. And she found some very pretty things and went to purchase them when Jason asked, "Why do you need more? If you're going to be wearing mine." "I need some more for myself," she said, with a little smile. "I thought we were going to get me some underwear." We walked right past a store that had them. Oh. That night as they were getting ready for bed, Jason was going to take the panties off, and she said, "No. No. Lover. Leave them on, and I'll take them off when I'm ready. You little sex kitten." Purr. The following morning they were going swimming, but his swim trunks were also in the lost suitcase. She held up a pair of power blue bottoms to one of her two-piece sets and said, "Try these, love." "No way." "Okay, don't go swimming." "But, they're girls." "Didn't we go through this already?" "Yeah. But they'll cover you. They don't really look that feminine without the top. And no one will notice. Give them here." He slipped them on, and they did fit fairly well. He looked in the mirror, and they didn't look too bad. She slipped on a very skimpy bikini with a comment of, "You'd look cute in this too." He just shook his head. They spent a good part of the day on the beach, enjoying the water and each other. That night they went out for a candlelight dinner and another long walk. On the fifth day, as they were at the airport, he checked with the airline to see if his bag had ever shown up. They told him that it had, but back at Brest, and that it had been sent to an address there. On the flight home, she said, "I have something for you," and handed him a package out of her carry-on. He opened it, and it was 3 pairs of satin panties. He just looked at her. "You looked so cute in them and never complained after the first day. I thought that you would like some of your own. They are comfortable." But. No buts, lover. You love em. Admit it. Yeah. Thought so. And, know what? What? I just love it when you are where em. Little missy, you are so bad. You know it, lover. Jason and Ronnie were back in Brest late that afternoon, to a warm welcome. And there was a lot to do, as their flight to the States left the following Saturday. On the Friday before, her parents threw a going-away party for them. Again, most of her friends and relatives were there. Then on Saturday, there were tearful goodbyes, and promises that they would be back to visit. And, her parents promised that they would also visit. Jason's parents, his youngest sister, Amy, and her boyfriend, met them at the airport. The hellos were almost as emotional as the goodbyes had been earlier that day. Jason gave Amy an especially long, big hug and whispered, "Thank you." "For what?" Amy asked. "Making me see how I really felt about Ronnie. And, she told me about you and her." "She what?" "The one time you had together." "Oh." Ronnie walked up and said, "All right, you two. Break it up." As they were walking through the terminal, Ronnie asked Amy, "What was that all about?" "He was just thanking me for you." "Huh?" "For helping him see how he really felt about you. And, he told me that you told him about our one time." "Oh. You mad?" "No. I take it that he understands that it was a one-time thing?" "Yeah. He didn't seem to have a problem with it. I told you he was for real. And really loved you." Sunday was spent recovering from the flight and time change. Then on Monday, Jason and Ronnie went to the university to register Ronnie and schedule her for classes that started on Thursday. The couple spent a few days with Jason's family before moving into an apartment just off campus. The university had a policy that freshmen had to live at home or in the dorms unless they were married, and then they could opt for the married student apartments or off-campus housing. And they had chosen off-campus housing. On a Saturday, 4 weeks after they had arrived back in the States, Jason's parents had a wedding reception for the couple at their home. A number of Ronnie's things had been shipped from France, including her wedding gown, and most everything was stored at the Blackwell's house. Ronnie wanted to wear her gown for the reception. So, early that Saturday afternoon, Jason and Ronnie were at his parents' getting ready. Jason even volunteered to wear a tuxedo again. He watched Ronnie put on the same clothes she had worn at the church, a white satin bra and thong set, a white satin garter belt, white nylons, and a pair of white pumps with 3-inch heels. She sat at his mother's dressing table to do her makeup and hair. When she turned around, Jason smiled. She didn't need makeup to make her look pretty, but it did add a perfect finish. Whatever she had done to her eyes brought out the blue in them. And they sparkled. She asked, "I take it by the look on your face, that you approve?" "Most definitely." She then put on a white satin slip, looked at Jason, and said, "Help me with my dress?" "Sure." She took her dress down from the hanger and slipped it on, working her arms into the sleeves. She turned her back to him and said, "Okay. Do the buttons, and don't miss any." Jason buttoned what the thought were at least 100 buttons up the back of the dress. When he was done, she turned around and smiled at him. He thought she looked prettier than she had in France, if that was possible. He went to kiss her, but she held her hand up to his lips and said, "Later, lover. You'll mess up my makeup." They walked downstairs and out onto the patio. There was more than 75 people there, and they received a nice round of applause. Amy and Ray were there. Amy wore her bridesmaid dress, and Ray even wore a tuxedo. They started walking around and talking to everyone. Then Ronnie said to Jason, "You know what would make this perfect?" "What's that?" "If Mir and Per were here." He just grinned at her and pointed. She looked toward where he was pointing, and there were 6 people standing under a large tree. First she recognized Jason's parents, then her own, then Ariane and Henri. She just beamed. Then she turned to Jason and said, "You knew. Didn't you?" "Of course," he replied, as he ducked a punch to his arm. She ran, as well as you can run in heels and a wedding dress, over to the 6. She hugged and kissed all 6 of them. The day was perfect. After all the guests had left, the 2 families sat around and talked for a long time. Ronnie's mother and father were staying for a week. And Ariane and Henri were staying until Monday. Finally, Ronnie asked Jason to come upstairs and help her out of her dress. He unbuttoned the buttons down the back of the dress and helped her out of it. She carefully hung it up and removed the slip. He looked at her and said, "Can I kiss you now?" She walked over to him, threw her arms around him, and gave him one of her famous long, deep kisses. When they broke, she said, "No." He grabbed her and kissed her again. When they broke the kiss, he said, "I want to do what we did on our wedding night." "Not now. They'll come up looking for us if we're much longer." Rats. Later, lover. On Sunday mornings Jason and Ronnie usually slept in. But, on the Sunday 2 weeks after the reception, Ronnie rolled over and was going to cuddle with Jason, as she loved to do. But, Jason wasn't there. She looked around the bedroom and his robe was gone. She got up and went looking for him. He was sitting at the kitchen table, drinking a cup of coffee, and had a kind of downtrodden look on his face. She looked at him and said, "Honey, what's wrong?" That's all for now. See you in the next video. For more interesting stories, please subscribe to our channel, and for exclusive content, please join us on Patreon. Link in the comment.